Von der Leyen leaves Parliament following Orbán's speech. In just 43 seconds, a $4.7 billion discrepancy surfaced in real time. Ursula von der Leyen didn't wait for the translation to finish. She gathered her papers and walked toward the exit. Cameras followed her every step. The European Parliament fell into stunned silence. What did Viktor Orbán reveal that forced the most powerful woman in Europe to flee her own institution? I was there. I witnessed the moment when the carefully constructed facade of European unity shattered before my eyes. This wasn't a strategic withdrawal. This was panic in its rawest form, captured by every lens in the Strasbourg chamber. The session began at exactly 2:14 p.m. with standard procedural formalities. Von der Leyen approached the podium clutching a blue folder marked Budget Review 2026. She had no idea Viktor Orbán was holding something that would destroy her afternoon completely. For the first 12 minutes, everything proceeded normally. Von der Leyen outlined the Commission's position on the multi-annual financial framework, speaking in her measured, technocratic tone. The translation booths hummed quietly. MEPs scrolled through their tablets, half listening. It was bureaucratic theater at its most mundane. Then Orbán stood up. He didn't raise his hand for recognition. He didn't wait for the moderator's acknowledgement. He simply rose from his seat and began speaking, his voice cutting through the chamber's ambient noise like a blade through silk. "Madam President," he said in perfect English, his Hungarian accent adding weight to each word, "before we discuss future budgets, perhaps we should address the $4.7 billion that disappeared from the current one." The chamber shifted. Von der Leyen's hand froze above her water glass. Every conversation stopped. Even the interpreters fell silent for a moment before scrambling to catch up with the translation. Orbán continued, his voice unnaturally calm. "Transaction ID EUF 2025-7739, authorized on September 23, 2025. Emergency Climate Adaptation Fund. Recipient entity, Green Future Consultancy, Delaware LLC, operational address Luxembourg." He paused, letting the words settle. "Board of Advisors includes one Dr. Hans von der Leyen." The blood drained from the Commission president's face. Her father's name, spoken in this context, in this chamber, was a precision strike. I watched her jaw tighten as she realized the trap had been sprung. "Parliamentary procedure," she began, but Orbán cut her off. "Article 325 of the Treaty on European Union," he replied, producing a thick manila envelope from his briefcase. "Financial fraud against the Union's interests. I invoke the right to present evidence to this chamber." The moderator, a German MEP named Klaus Weber, looked helplessly between the two figures. Protocol demanded he allow von der Leyen to respond, but Orbán held the floor under parliamentary immunity. The cameras sensed the tension and zoomed in tighter. Von der Leyen's political instincts kicked in. She attempted to regain control. "These allegations are procedurally irregular and factually—" "Here is the wire transfer documentation," Orbán interrupted, holding up a document. "Here is the consultancy contract signed by your father 6 months after his retirement from Siemens. Here is the Commission's internal memo recommending Green Future Consultancy for the Climate Fund contract." Each piece of paper hit the podium with deliberate force. The chamber erupted. The far-right benches began shouting for an immediate investigation. Matteo Salvini was on his feet, pointing directly at von der Leyen. Marine Le Pen's delegation began chanting, "Resign! Resign!" The Greens and Liberals sat frozen, unable to defend without seeing the evidence, but unwilling to abandon their political ally. Commission staff in the gallery made frantic phone calls. Social media exploded instantly. Within minutes, Circa Greengate was trending across 17 languages, accompanied by video clips of Orbán's document presentation, spreading faster than any official response could contain. I watched von der Leyen's team frantically passing notes. Her chief of staff, Björn Seibert, was typing furiously on his phone. But there was no spin that could contain this moment, no communications strategy that could overcome live television and documented evidence. The Hungarian Prime Minister wasn't finished. He produced another document bearing the official seal of the European Anti-Fraud Office. Olaf Investigation 2025-0847, opened October 15th, closed November 3rd. Reason for closure: political interference from Commission level. He held the document high for cameras to capture the letterhead. Investigating Officer, Dr. Elena Marchetti. Her recommendation: immediate judicial proceedings. Her resignation: November 4th, 1 day after case closure. The chamber's atmosphere shifted from tension to horror. This wasn't just financial irregularity. This was systematic cover-up at the highest levels. That was the moment von der Leyen broke. I saw it happen in real time. Her composure, maintained through years of crisis management, cracked visibly. Her hands began to shake slightly as she reached for her papers. She glanced toward the exits, calculating her options. "The Commission stands by its fiscal responsibility," she started, but her voice caught. She cleared her throat and tried again. "These documents require proper authentication." "They're authenticated by Olaf," Orbán replied coldly. "Unless you're suggesting the EU's own anti-fraud office falsified evidence?" The silence that followed was deafening. Von der Leyen looked directly at the cameras, and for a moment, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Not political calculation, but raw terror. A slight tremor ran through her hands as she gripped the podium. She scanned the chamber, searching for an ally. The French delegation avoided eye contact. German MEPs checked their phones. Even her Commission representatives had abandoned their posts. At exactly 2:27 p.m., she made her decision. Without another word, she closed her folder with deliberate precision, each movement calculated to maintain what remained of her dignity. She stepped back from the podium, her signature burgundy blazer catching the chamber's harsh lighting, and began walking toward the exit. Every step echoed in the unnaturally quiet hall. Her security detail moved to follow, but she waved them off. She wanted to make this exit alone. The chamber erupted in chaos. Shouts of "answer the questions" and "explain the money" echoed off the walls. Camera operators scrambled to follow her movement. The moderator hammered his gavel uselessly. But von der Leyen kept walking, her heels clicking on the marble floor with metronomic precision. I noticed the way she held her shoulders, rigid, military straight, preserving what remained of her dignity. She didn't look back or acknowledge the shouting. She didn't glance at the cameras tracking her movement. As a journalist who has covered European politics for 15 years, I've seen political careers end in many ways. But von der Leyen's exit was different. It was the walk of someone who had calculated the odds and realized that every word would only dig the hole deeper. She simply disappeared through the chamber doors, leaving behind the biggest political crisis in EU history. Orbán remained at his seat, calmly organizing his papers. He had achieved exactly what he intended: the public destruction of his most powerful opponent. The calculated precision was breathtaking. In the hours that followed, the Commission went into crisis mode. Press briefings were canceled. Spokespersons became unreachable. Von der Leyen's Twitter account went dark. The damage was irreversible. The euro dropped 1.2% against the dollar within 30 minutes. European banking stocks plummeted. The DAX closed down 3.4%. Investigative journalists started digging into green future consultancy, uncovering a network of shell companies stretching from Luxembourg to the Cayman Islands. By evening, leaked emails revealed systematic patterns of commission contracts flowing to firms connected to senior officials' family members. Marine Le Pen called for von der Leyen's immediate resignation. Matteo Salvini demanded a complete audit of commission finances. Even centrist MEPs began distancing themselves from the leadership. Within 48 hours, 3 more Olaf investigations were reopened. The European Public Prosecutor's Office confirmed it was reviewing materials related to EU budget irregularities. Von der Leyen's immunity as Commission President suddenly looked fragile. Commission meetings were canceled without explanation. Key staffers updated their LinkedIn profiles. The entire machinery of European governance ground to a halt as officials waited to see whether their leader would survive the week. What struck me most about that afternoon wasn't the political theater or the financial scandal. It was the human moment when one of the world's most powerful women realized that her carefully constructed political armor had been pierced by someone who understood exactly where to strike. The European Union will survive this crisis as it has survived others. But the myth of technocratic invulnerability died that Tuesday afternoon in Strasbourg. The moment von der Leyen walked out, she proved that even the most institutional power can be undone by three things: documentation, timing, and courage. As I write this, von der Leyen remains Commission President, but her authority has been fundamentally compromised. Every decision will be viewed through the lens of that 43-second walk to the exit. Every budget proposal will be scrutinized for personal connections. Viktor Orbán understood something crucial about modern political warfare. In the age of live television and social media, the most devastating weapon isn't armies or sanctions. It's the right document, presented at the right moment to the right audience. That Tuesday afternoon, he used that weapon to perfection. And von der Leyen's hurried exit became the image that defined the moment when European institutional power revealed its most fundamental weakness: accountability.